Hello, everyone. Margo Lovett here, back with another interview with one of WomELLE's 25 leading, and I would like to say influential women to follow during the month of March, because it is Women's History Month. But, I've been telling people ever since we started this campaign, be sure to follow these women until you die, because they have done amazing work. They will continue to do amazing work. So today's guest, I am here with a woman who is a business and personal development strategist, but I look at her body of work and realize that she really is a community activist in Portsmouth, Virginia. I'm welcoming the one and only Mary Fernandez. Welcome, Mary. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much. Such a pleasure and honor to be here.
Oh boy, to speak with someone who has dedicated so much work into your community. We speak with people who are dealing with people on the national level, but you are doing big things, have done amazing work. You push the needle right there in Portsmouth, Virginia. So my first question is, why do you have such a deep love for your community?
Wow. I can see myself as a child walking the community streets, all the great experiences, and having that protective feeling of neighbors watching you. Everyone's your parent, the community raising one another. I've seen this community grow from what it was to what it's become. And my mother and my father were very active in making sure that they were involved. That we had a community league, and we still have it to this day. And even as a young woman, my dad would be active in that group. And as I got older, I would attend those meetings. And I just saw something so wonderful. Our city has a waterfront, and as little girls, we would go down to the waterfront in our little Easter dresses, and we'd walk the waterfront, always protected feeling of you having your parents around you and your friends and your cousins. And many in the city are quite used to certain routines. When it's time for the 4th of July, the whole city goes downtown to the waterfront, the entire waterfront front that is quite large, and even toward the Naval Hospital. And they would sit in the streets with their blankets and their chairs, and they would have um, just full access. Our police department would make sure the streets are blocked off at a certain time. My family would ride the bicycles just a just so far, and then we'd walk the rest of the way. We felt safe, we felt protected, and we had family members that were in law enforcement. And the city just felt like a big hug, just like a big hug.
I love that. How many of us do not have such warm memories?
True, true.
That this feeling of safety,
Hmm.
I feel as though that obligated you to make sure that your children feel that, and that as time has passed, then you are a part of making sure that others feel what you feel, and they understand the changes in the city. Is am I correct with that,
You're
Mary?
so right. You're so right. As young adults, as we're growing up from elementary all the way up to high school, in the elementary and middle school days, you could go in a certain radius, right? This block, no further than this far, that left and right, in almost every direction you went, there was a cousin or a family that you knew, or neighbors that you saw grow up and bring their children up. And when it came to my children, oh, you know how mama is. Mama's avatar is a bear, very protective of my children. Their father died. The twins, I had the twins uh, when I was a young woman, and their father died before they were born. So I became even more intent on providing them a good quality life. And God took me further and gave me a beautiful husband that I prayed for. because my choices were not always the best choices. And listening to my dad and his encouragement, he was a good father and a very protective mother. With that kind of nurturing, you take that to your children. And then I want to share that sometimes we as parents, we want to give them an easier way to go
Mhm.
than we think we had. I think that's a terrible downfall because I can tell you this cute little story about my little twins, the twins. They were my younger life. Um, they were sitting on the windowsill of one of the apartments I lived in as I grew up. And as was not, I was downstairs, but they had gotten on the windowsill. And someone said to them, "Your mama's gonna get you." And you know what they said to me? "Your my mama's not gonna spank me. She just gonna talk to me."
Wow.
My dad
That's
say, "Talk to your children."
mhm.
Yeah, no.
That's what the twins had to say. That was their reply to the community, the neighbor.
Absolutely. And of course, see, the neighbor was looking out for them. So as they continued to grow up, I made sure they got to church.
Hmm.
And um, as I was brought up in church, and I remember I ask people this question sometimes: when was the first time you felt your leadership or your power? I was in this church, 100-year-old church that has since burned down. And I remember the entire family and the cousins, we would fill up an entire pew row, our
Hmm.
family and the other leg of the family. And it was a big deal when you had the opportunity to go to the bathroom by yourself. How many children could go to the bathroom by themselves? In this world we live in now, I remember the click of my heels walking across the empty Sunday school room with maybe one Sunday school teacher somewhere as we walked through the back of the church on a carpet. Then you walked past the foyer. Then you walked in across the empty Sunday school hall. And the click of that heel made me feel like a woman, a,
Yeah.
a grown up, because it had a little heel on our little shoes. And to be able to go there and come back, we know our children can't do that these days, as we were bringing them up in another generation, because that was the generation I grew up in. But as
Hmm.
they grew up, safety no longer was let that child independently go by herself or
Hmm.
himself, because danger had revealed itself.
So, Mary, I'm listening to the fact that you grew up in Portsmouth, Virginia, felt very safe to you, surrounded
Yes,
by family,
yes,
mother and father who were also very active, and I would
yes,
venture to say known in the community. So,
yes.
with all of that, and with the twins, you decided, this is how I grew up. This is the kind of community that I want my children to grow up in. So you have become very, very active to make sure that you understand what's going on in the community so that you can address it also. I want to bring to everybody's attention that you completed, graduated. See, people think that you don't, it doesn't take time and effort to be a community activist, but in reality, you actually completed and graduated LEPCO, is it LEPCO leadership
LEPCO,
program?
yeah, the LEPCO
LEPCO.
leadership program. I,
And you did that so that it would prepare you to for leadership and volunteer opportunities in the city. You prepared yourself to move forward and undertake the work and the opportunities that would
mhm.
come in your community. Will you address that, please?
Absolutely. There was this wonderful gentleman named Griffin, and he served in leadership in the city, and he happened to live about 4 or 5 blocks away. And as he was in city leadership, I remember seeing him as a teacher as a child when I was a little thing. Saw him down the hall. He and his wife were just a beautiful couple. And everywhere I went, if there was leadership or people making a difference, I wanted to learn from them. So as I was volunteering in the college age and middle, just before really getting out there, I asked him, "What's one thing you would say to someone following in your footsteps?" And he said, "Well, I would say take that LEPCO leadership program the city offers, because I had been looking for that program. I had heard of it, but I didn't really know it was a big thing. And he said, yeah, take that. When you get a hold of that, um, that would give you a vision of what your city offers and what you can do to make a difference. And I would ask those questions of everyone, including when I would go pay a water bill or take care of business with the city as just a resident of the city. I would take my son and my second generation of children, because I have five beautiful children, and I would take them with me, and they would sit there. And after I took care of the business in this nice city room with this beautiful waterfront view from the city offices, I asked them one question. What's one advice you would give to a young man that's aspiring to be prosperous and successful in his life? He was about maybe 7 or 8 or 10 or 12. And that person would give us that tip. I did that everywhere I went with my children with me. Either I wanted to know or I wanted them to hear the answer and know that these are just people, just like you. They just happen to be in a position with a nice office and a big responsibility.
Mhm. To actually move the city along. That, how many of us really do that? I know I didn't do that with my daughter. It was like, oh, it never entered my mind. I don't want to digress, but I understand that you are also a business member of the Portsmouth division of the Hampton Roads chapter of Chamber of Commerce, a member at large. How important is that to stay attuned? It seems like it helps you stay in tune with what's going on the city and the state level. We can't forget what's going on the state level.
Outstanding. Still following in the steps of my father and all that community leadership. I was president of the Midtown Business Association. I was a young business working to get my footing, and I met some phenomenal people, including my first landlord and this young lady named Gloria. In fact, they named the street after her. And I was just hunting and seeing how to get involved in the business world. And our organization was a member of the chamber. And so, as president, I always stayed exposed to that group, listening to what they were doing. This Hampton Roads Chamber, I believe, is a real smart brainchild for collaboration. It's 5 cities, and Portsmouth is the heart of the Hampton Roads area, where you have interstates can connect to any of those cities. But chamber members from all those cities come together and share what's going on. What do we need as a family of cities? How can we help one another? How can we make it a thriving, on trend, marketable environment, not only for the young adults who are in leadership and also on that board. And then we have a young new mayor and the mayor before him. And the mayor before him, and then that charismatic mayor we had, Mayor Holly before him. With those type of leaders, even with all the challenges that they face, they still were good leaders because they cared about the city. And so whatever we could do as an organization, a business organization, we did. And whatever they could do for us, they did.
Partnership, relationship.
Collaboration, and partnerships. So I'm very proud of the Hampton Roads area.
Wow. When I hear you speak, I mean, I hope that everybody understands that it's very important to stay in tune with what's going on in your city, because things happen. Things can happen. Your city is not as safe. Probably it's changed since you were a child and feeling safe, and you could go up and down the streets and that type of thing. But still, you are involved and working with the people, the change makers, the policy makers. You are making sure that people hear your voice.
Yes.
That is amazing. I hope that everyone can understand the measure of power that comes from positioning yourself like that. And you're not just a member, you've been president of these organizations. You've been the mouthpiece. You've been the grant writer that brought some things from Walmart, some Walmart grants. Talk about that.
Well, that was phenomenal. Being part of the Midtown Business Association, following in the steps of the other presidents, because I was secretary and all those different positions. Um, Walmart was coming to town and our city was growing up. We were going to have the opportunity to have a store near us without having to go too much further out of the community, something like eggs and fresh milk, and you just want a loaf of bread. You want to go to a nice store that has choices. And so with the city constantly taking care of every community the best they could. And we're a family. The city is just like any family. I like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. But the whole thing is moving forward. So when Walmart was working to come to town, we didn't know all the other issues Walmart had about with other cities of I want it there, I don't want it there. We knew what we needed, and it was a good thing. I mean, I imagine walking to the store, a big grocery store, to get what I needed. And so our group, the Midtown Business Association, said, yeah, that's a good idea. And that's a good thing for us because we had a shopping center that used to be very prosperous in our youthful days. But you let 10, 15, and 20 years go by, the rise and decline of a shopping center or our businesses would change from storefront to malls and then go back to storefront, that type of thing. And so our shopping center, which was Mid-City Shopping Center, have great memories of walking that place too and getting our shoes. In fact, I taught my son how to ride his bike over there. And so when Walmart was coming to town, they made a grand gesture to look at the surrounding areas, well-served communities and underserved communities. And so they selected several community groups and wanted them to come look at what we do and look at how we think. They flew us into their headquarters in Arkansas. They showed us the office of the founder. They showed us his mindset, and they treated us extremely well. And they brought all of these other city people from other states together as well, because they wanted to educate us on their vision and their values, such as when we walk their offices, something like the trash in your own office, you're responsible for taking that out. They wanted to show you the family type of mindset. And one of the things was the gentleman that was talking to us said that when he came to work for them, he left his trash in the office. He thought that's just the way you do things.
Yeah.
I'm up now. But then someone told him, no, you put your own trash out. So they were frugal. They even told us about how and I see Walmart, they're getting publicity here, but they told us how the people that work for them were encouraged to invest in them. Invest in the thing that feeds you. Let's make a partnership. So it was really, really a nice experience. Just traveling from the airport to the headquarters, I had an opportunity to see how some of the land was majorly undeveloped. Things were far and few between. Taxi cabs were not everywhere. So you had to do, they had transportation, but it was like small businesses that could get you from where you wanted to go to the headquarters. They let us stay in a nice hotel. And that experience let me see them. So they wanted you to write the grants to receive for your community money that could help you spotlight businesses in your community, that you could help them prosper a little bit better, position themselves a little better. They also wanted to give them free commercials on their airways. So they needed a coordinator for that. And the project manager, I noticed from the other groups, were the president or the vice president of that group. So as the president, I took on project manager position, and our team, Midtown Business Association, and another wonderful young lady and I came back, we wrote that grant, but we needed to submit the next year and show what we had done with the money.
Wow, so what an experience with Walmart, and that you would be able to pull that off for your community. But that's what happens when a person is involved. This is, wow. You are a community activist. It is a pleasure to have this opportunity to speak with you. It's no wonder that WomELLE chose you to be one of the 25 powerful women to watch. It's
Wow.
no wonder, because people, I mean, Portsmouth, Virginia, you helped form that community, you helped form that city. So now you not
Before
only
you go any
help,
further,
yeah,
we're just
go.
one community in the entire city of Portsmouth. So we other communities have community leagues. So we're just one of
Wow.
many community leaders and many community leagues. That community league, my dad was very active, and there were these men. I was at a breakfast or dinner or something with, I think it was the governor or something up in Richmond. That's one of our five cities. No, this Richmond's not part of the collaboration. They have they're further up. But
Uh-huh.
I was sitting at a table, and Councilman Charles Whitehurst mentioned the legend of the men of Mount Hermon. That was my community. And I said, oh my goodness. It was a story of how they and their lawyers put together a package and got money to renovate our entire community and move from wood houses to brick houses.
Wow.
From so I'm not just me. I'm just a small part of this wonderful five city collaboration,
Mm.
feeling in love with my city. So I cannot take credit for the bigger voice. I'm just one.
Wow. It takes one. It takes one to link with many. So
Yes.
that is awesome. Speaking of one voice connecting with many,
Mhm.
you are sales director, professional beauty consultant, Mary Kay Cosmetics. I
Yes.
mean, you haven't just started this. There must be something about Mary Kay because of your longevity. And I mean, how do you leverage that relationship with the work that you do in your community?
Oh, that's my pink bubble. I That was the business that I had those years when I was finding my way in the business community.
Mm-hmm.
That is a direct sales company. And so later I learned that I needed a different format to really move in the business world, but everyone welcomed me as an independent sales director at Mary Kay. I came into Mary Kay to accidentally buy as a referral. I was looking for the product. I needed that skincare because I had had it years ago, but I didn't want to spend any money on myself like that. I think it was
Uh-huh.
$35. I didn't want to spend that money on my face and myself, but my skin got so bad that later on it was 55, and I jumped on it when I found a beauty consultant. Then coming into this company, I was sponsored by a community activist herself. It was amazing that she and I had so much in common. But the leadership started right from the first new consultant orientation. What is it that you want? What is your goal? And from there, the nurturing just swelled like a balloon. We have such a sisterhood relationship in this company through Mary Kay Ash. Um, I have gotten to meet National Sales Director Rosa Jackson. She's the late lead executive national sales director Rosa out of Atlanta. She's gone on to heaven. From her, she was my national, and then I had a national out of Virginia Beach, which was a seed from her. And when we would travel to go to educational events, Mary Kay puts a bubble around us, such a bubble of protection. They provide the director's suit, for instance. Of course, a woman starting out may need money and may not have money, or may not have what she considers extra money. Mary Kay said that we would, as women, we would take money and buy the hamburger
Mm.
for the meal versus something for ourselves. So every time you turn around, we're getting recognition or little gifts for the little steps to success. So it's like a tight rosebud evolving as a powerful, confident woman. This sisterhood, when we would travel, she the company would reserve the best hotels in every city. 30 years of traveling to the best hotels in every city,
Wow.
and then having the same girlfriends fly in, the same buddies. My love circle, my tightest circle right now is Lisa and Anita. I honor those two ladies because we met at certain times on this journey. Lisa, I met many years ago under the leadership of one of my mentors, a young woman named, well, a phenomenal national sales director named Joan. And we were young directors and young Mary Kay consultants, but under that bubble of protection, the leadership development, the education, the mentorship, I mean, serious mentorship, serious education, and yet a lot of fun.
Mhm.
And Lisa and I reconnected, and we're sharing office right now to this day. And then Anita's national died. It's almost like your Mary Kay mama, your Mary
Yeah.
Kay mentors. When Lisa's national sales director passed on and my national sales director passed on, I put an event out there in the world that I was doing. I did a cruise for over 16 years consecutively to bring all the Mary Kay ladies that wanted to bring their organizations together. And we would have a luncheon cruise and we honor and recognize the ladies, passing on that legacy of mentorship, encouragement, and helping women evolve into who they're called to be. Women who have never flown an airplane or women
Mhm.
who've never owned a business. Is the standards of the company were just loving and encouraging. So when her national died and my national died, Anita and I gravitated to each other and we created something. And
Mhm.
then on top of that, others Mary Kay nationals as they grew up passed away. And then we had these giant mentors in Mary Kay to hover over us and embrace us. We get we were exposed to the top in the world at a leadership conference in January,
Wow.
sponsored by the company. And then some of those leaders did another top in the world
Mm.
of their expertise in Mary Kay in their country. Number one in Peru, number
Oh.
one in the entire world of Mary Kay. These women came together and taught us. And
Mhm.
then Candy Lewis, National Sales Director Candy Lewis, invited into Mary Kay by her sister who's gone on to heaven. She became like a giant Mary Kay mama again. And
Wow.
just as that happened to me, that happened to the women that led me. Mary Kay did that for them. So it's a pink bubble. I do love it. Any woman from any walk of life, education, no education. When they come in here now, these women are fierce. They're more fierce than anything I ever knew. They have swagger, they have confidence, they're survivors, they have a way of feeding their family or creating wealth.
I have to give you
Beautiful
a
couple.
hand clap on that. I I've known of Mary Kay Cosmetics.
Hmm.
Walked past the store in the mall. There, been inside the store, been to some Mary Kay parties, but never really heard the story like this before. There's one other powerful woman that the magazine is honoring, and she is, I think she's a director of Mary Kay also. So that's what brought me to add when I saw that you were part of the organization, the Pink Bubble. I
Uh-huh.
thought, what is this that two women and
Uh-huh.
powerful women? Awesome, awesome.
You have a surprise coming.
Oh, okay.
You have a surprise coming because I cannot wait to reach out to my sister who made the list as well. I was going to reach out and call her up and say, hey, girl, that's how it is. We feel like that. But you have a surprise coming before all these interviews are
Oh,
over. So give it time.
thank you. See this is amazing stuff. You, yes, a sisterhood.
Yeah.
Isn't that what we need at the end of the day? We need a sisterhood so that one woman can grab the hand of another woman. I don't care if you're 10,000 miles away. And
Yes.
we don't need all this back and forth. And I can't tell you my secrets because I'm doing this. I can I tell you, Mary, I love when other podcasters and I get together and we chop it up because it's just better that way. You spoke of collaboration. You spoke of your work in the community, how you bring women together.
Mhm.
I'm looking at the time. I just have one final question. Is this your work, life work? Because I know that you're Christian, such as I am. And
Yes,
we
ma'am.
never say something just happens. We always
That's
know
right.
that things have divine reasons.
Hmm.
So what you're doing, your body of work, and I don't think you even see the gravity, the immense, the depth of the work that you have put into your one community. Um, Is that all a part of your life's mission?
Amen. Absolutely. I would say yes.
Mm.
The song, Jesus Loves Me, yes, he does, for the Bible tells me so. That was one of the things that we used to go down to the altar with. The little children would go to the altar and we would sing that song. So it gave us a sense of power and protection when we got to walk from our chairs, no matter how old you were, to the altar and listen to that song. That was Zion Baptist Church. Then I would say it evolved in my heart with good mentors from high school teachers, elementary school teachers. These teachers, these heroes, they pour in purpose, direction, and a love for the call on our lives, make a difference in the space that you're in. And then leaders like my bishop, Bishop Marcus Brown, quality word of the Lord on the call on your life and what it is you're to do. So I do have some global plans for projects and things I want to do that's not just for my community, but can be duplicated in other cities to help elevate those communities. Because as you were saying, when women come together and they're not afraid to share and open up their hearts, their heads, and their talents and share with another woman, more can be done. So take, for instance, BWP, reaching for your audience, reaching for your tribe,
Black
your
women promote.
sisterhood.
The Black Women
Yes,
Promote group.
ma'am. Yes,
Hmm.
ma'am.
Speak on them.
Those women, as I was reaching up, finding my way, my company, WOHI, Women of Help and Influence, I developed that as I call it a warcraft of women, because there comes a point where you're trying to find your way and you don't have all the pieces of the puzzle and you need an answer. Which door do I go through? How do I shorten the distance? But we waste so much time going in circles,
Yes.
not knowing the missing piece of the puzzle. So you don't give up, you just keep it moving. And when I found BWP, those mentors, those admins, their agenda was clear: to move the women, to shake them up, to get them involved. They had such resources in there to educate and to challenge you to grow. I mean, my first um, live was
Hmm.
done because of BWP. My first live interview with Dr. Sharita Weatherspoon, the woman that pulled the book together,
Hmm.
that came because of BWP. The company, the conversation, the determination of these women to impact each other's lives. It's like vibrations, like in
Yeah.
Mary Kay. You know, the women have such a strong vibration of, I want to help, I
Yeah.
want to empower my circle and your circle. Come into my world. So the call on my life is to impact lives, is to change lives. I love my children. When I did the drug court program,
Yes.
it was like paying it forward, because your children will hear you up to a certain age. Because when they leave the protective world of home and family, they're in the world and they're going to meet some different people and they're going to change, even from going to middle school to college, those influences. So
Hmm.
when I thought about positioning myself to pay it forward, I was praying to God that they meet good angels, good people, good men, good women to mentor and coach them. Because when they stop listening to you, they become your mama, they become
Yeah.
your parent, they stop hearing you. And I know my dad said one time to one of the children, I just pray that someday you have a child just like you, and then you'll understand what it is to be a parent. So yes, this is my life's work: moving people, groups, clubs, and organizations forward. What can I do? In fact, I heard the mayor, Glover, Mayor Shannon Glover, say, "What can I do to help you? What do you need?" That's my spirit. What can I do to help you? What do you need? And I'm not there to stay. I'm there to launch you.
Mm-hmm. Mm. I tell you, mm. Business and personal development strategist, community activist, straight from the heart. Uh, I have loved this conversation with Mary Fernandez. You are a dynamic woman. I said it once, I'll say it again. It's no wonder that WomELLE magazine chose you to be one of 25 powerful women to follow for Women's History Month. But as I have been always saying, let's follow these women, follow Mary Fernandez until the day that you die. And obviously, Mary is coming with a new angle, a new connection. She's going to come to your city, your community, with another way to connect and bring vibrancy and life. And I look forward. I hope that you can make your way to Gardena, California. I hope you can make your way over here. I really do. So, wow.
My pleasure. May I say, when I first saw you, Miss Margo, God positioned it that I met you. I came into BWP and I had an agenda to develop that podcast. And there you were. And I had already made my plan. Check. That's who's going to teach me. And next thing you know, boom, you led to this beautiful opportunity because you came on the hunt for the magazine. And God just ordained that chain reaction. Mm-hmm. And your words, don't be stuck on get ready, be ready.
We have to live by that. We have to be ready as you stood ready from a child. You could have just stayed in the laurels of, well, my parents were activists and I love this city. And you very well could have just been faded to the back, but you stayed on the front. So you stayed ready. So now, I do look forward to you being launched into other cities. Stacey Abrams, look at the work that her and her team have done in Georgia. There's no reason why what you have in place, what you are positioned to do, there's no reason why you can't have that same moxie and forethought and look forward to going out to a lot of different communities, because we need help. Our communities need help. Women are the backbone, and men, please, we love you to pieces, to death. But women have a way of bringing something to the table, and you cannot underestimate a woman on a mission. We just don't know.
Oh my goodness. I receive all those good words. I embrace it and let God turn it around and manifest.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for your kind words. You need a podcast, and I'm going to make sure that you get there.
Thank you.
Got to make sure. So
what a pleasure.
Oh, I have looked forward to this. And yes, I feel so very full. It's hard for me to stop these conversations, but I'm looking at the time, and I respect your time, and I respect what the magazine wants. So I'm Margo Lovett, another awesome conversation with one of WomELLE's 25 powerful women to follow for Women's History Month. I'm here with Mary Fernandez from Portsmouth, Virginia, doing awesome work. And I thank her for being here. I thank you for listening, and I will see you on the next conversation. In the meantime, bye-bye now.
Bye.